All right, welcome to the next video where we have already done our battle maps and dynamic lighting and all that stuff. We have places to play, but nobody to play in it. So we're going to start adding NPCs and monsters. Whether we're taking something straight off the monster manual and reflavoring it or creating something of our own, like a homebrewed monster, even if that monster is based off another monster that we're just kind of reflavoring, right? So we can do any of those. Let's start with creating an NPC, a named NPC. So we have this bar here, this tavern, which I can't remember what I called it, the Bloated Pig Tavern. And this is run by Billy the bartender, who used to be an adventurer or something. I don't know. So we can come here and right away you're probably going to say, oh, create a new character. Well, you can do that. But there's probably an easier way to do that than going through all of this. Go to the compendium and find what Billy the bartender is based off of. Maybe he's a veteran. And then you can take a warrior veteran. So monster warrior veteran. Yeah. Move him over into the battle map and everything's done, right? So he has all these skills. He has a great sword, heavy crossbow, multi-attack. He has all these cool things from being a previous adventurer. Edit. But maybe he's getting a little old and he's not as strong as he used to be. So we'll drop his strength down to 14, right? Everything else can stay the same. We close. And if we close this, we can see there's Billy the bartender, but maybe we have our own artwork for Billy the bartender. So what this did is it created a token on the battle map, which we don't care about. We can delete that right away because we're going to change that. It also created the character sheet in your journal. So if you click on this little button here, you'll see your journal. And we have warrior veteran. Well, let's change this. Hit this little button up here and we can change it to Billy the bartender. And then we'll remove the artwork, click to upload our, oops, I chose the wrong one. He's not a spider. Bartender. So that's just the artwork. We also want to change the token. So we'll delete the token, upload bartender token. So obviously in this case, the avatar and the token are the same artwork. It doesn't have to be, but it can. If we hit edit token, we can give that token vision. We can come over here and link his HP to bar 1 and maybe his AC. Don't be tempted to do AC. AC is for player characters, but NPCs have their own AC stat block, and it's NPC AC. They're different in Roll20. So make sure you choose the right one. If it's a player character, choose AC. If it's a non-player character, choose NPC AC. This token represents Billy the bartender, which is spelled wrong. And we can add a nameplate so people know who he is. And we can hit save changes. And we'll change his name to bartender, not bartender. And then save changes. So now when we come over here, we can take Billy the bartender, drag him over. He's got the right token. He's got the right health. And what's cool about this is if Billy the bartender took 10 points of damage, minus 10 here, he has 55 points of damage, and he decides to help you guys out on your quest, and he comes on it, and I bring him over into the map, he has 55 health. So you don't have to update the token's health to match what the most current one was. It's all linked throughout all of that. And that's because in here, we said under the token properties, his tokens bar 1 is his HP, right? So that's how we can link that together. Let me cancel, close, delete, and come back into the Bloated Pig Tavern, right? So now Billy the bartender sitting behind the bar, and you'll see he's snapped to the grid, but he's not standing on the bar. He's not too far away from it. Hold Alt, and you can kind of place it wherever you want without having to snap it to the grid. But let's add some farmers to this. So we're going to do the kind of the same thing here. We're going to go to here, but these are commoners. Commoner. We're going to take a commoner, throw it over here. It's going to create a token and the character sheet and everything like that. We can delete the token right away. We don't have to make any changes on the character sheet. We can come here, remove the artwork, remove the token artwork, and now upload this. And we're going to say old man on this. If you have multiple, you can do that. For this video, I'm just going to create the same token artwork for all of the farmers that are going to be in here. We're going to change this to farmer. And for token properties, we're going to say this is the, well, we got to save it. Cancel, save changes. Coming back over here. Now it's the farmer. And now if we edit token properties, this represents the farmer. We don't have to give it a nameplate because these are going to be multiple individual farmers. They're not all one named NPC. So what we don't want to do is link the HP here. We actually want to say none on this and just put their AC or their HP here. The AC we can link because that's not unique to each individual token. And then hit save changes, close. And now from our journal, if we drag a farmer over in here, we have a farmer here. And let's say another farmer here, another farmer here. This farmer has a friend, so we'll put a farmer there. And now we have multiple farmers here. If this farmer takes damage, -1, he takes 3 damage, but the other farmers don't because we did not link HP to the token. Each token has its own individual AP. Unlike Billy the bartender, who's a named NPC, his HP is going to be linked to the character sheet. Whatever it is in the character sheet will be linked to the token. Whatever it is on the token will be linked to the character sheet. So it's the same in every instance of that NPC. Simple. Monsters are going to work the same way as our farmers here, where they're each monster instance, if we're going to have some giant rats. So those giant rats is not all one giant rat. If one takes damage, they all take damage. That's not the way it's going to work. So we're going to make sure they're not linked. So let's go to our dungeon and start adding some monsters. So the first thing we want to do is we want to create some monsters. Down here, there's 6 giant rats. So let's go ahead here, come to the compendium, giant rat, and click drag over. And now we'll just close all of this just to show you now there's a giant rat in your journal. Future instances of giant rats should come from your journal, not the compendium, especially if you've made changes. So we're going to add a bunch of giant rats here. I think the adventure calls for 6. But if you want to add, maybe another 1 or 2 to make it more challenging because you have more players than anticipated or whatever. Another cool thing we can do is we can take these giant rats by holding down shift, click and shift click each one. We can select multiple instances of these giant rats, select all the tokens. And then if we remember from a previous video, if we want to move this to the DM layer, if I just hit K right now, I'm now in the DM layer, but the tokens are still in the object layer. We want to move them before we hit K for the DM layer. We want to hit Control Shift and then K. Now that's moved them down to the DM layer. But we're still in the object layer, so we got to come over to the GM layer or DM layer. Now we can select these things. If we come over to the object layer or token layer, O for this keyboard shortcut, we can't select them even as a DM. We have to make sure we're selecting the tokens that are in the layer, right? But what's cool about this is if a player token's sitting over here, they can't see the rats. So maybe the rats are hiding throughout the barrels here or something. We can move them around to do that. And then when they do notice them or the rats come attacking, we come to the DM layer, we select all the rats, and then move them to the token layer or object layer by hitting Control Shift to move them, O, and then hit O again to move ourselves up to the object layer. And now these will be visible to the players. So that's a cool trick there, but not the complete point of this video. We have more. We have some giant centipedes, so good news. They're still right out of the monster manual, so we can take the giant centipede, move it over here, go to our journal, add 2 more. Or maybe another one. Maybe there's 4 in this one, whichever you want to do. Now, we're not tweaking anything, right? We're just taking monsters straight from the monster manual, dropping them in our map. We now have it in our journal, and we're good to go. This particular adventure comes with a homebrewed monster. And I'll try to make this so you can see the whole thing. It's a giant infernal spider. It is a giant spider that has different resistances and stuff like that, right? So what we can do is we can take a giant spider and reflavor it, or we can create one from scratch. Let's create one from scratch. We're going to hit plus new character. Don't worry about the artwork yet because it's going to get changed as soon as we do something else. We're going to say giant Infernal Spider, right? And hit save changes. We're just going to start there. Now we're going to say build a new NPC. Now we have an NPC thing here. We can hit edit and start filling in all of these blanks. But if we know it's coming from a giant spider, we can take that giant spider and move it over here. Oh, maybe we have to, okay, yeah, we had to close and reopen it. Okay, now all the text is updated. But we are going to do some tweaking to some of their attacks and their traits and stuff like that. But now we can come through here and say giant spider, fill in some of the blanks, whatever. It's a CR1. This one has CR1. Great. Proficiency bonus doesn't matter. I think that doesn't matter. AC is 14. That's good. Initiative is +3. That's based on Dex. His Dex is poisoned a little bit to 14. So initiative is +2. Yep. Okay, great. He has a walk and climb speed of 30 feet each, so we don't have to change that. The hit points, it calls for 32, but max is 55 for my players. I want to give them a challenge. There's 5 of them that are going to be playing this, so we got to boost that up a little bit. And if every player does 10 points of damage, this thing will be done in 1 round. So it's still not that much of a challenge, right? As long as everybody hits and does at least 10 points of damage, right? For skills, he does not have the perception skill. Oh, no, he did, but let's just delete them both and add in perception. And it's +6. But we're not adding the proficiency bonus to this because then it'll be a +8 because of the +2 proficiency bonus here. So we're just going to raw +6 perception. For resistances, he's resistant to fire, no vulnerabilities, immunities, or condition immunities. He has dark vision and blind sight for 10 feet. Passive perception is 10. So we have to change that, which is strange. It should be 16. I don't know why. So I'm looking at this. Oh, it's stealth, not perception. Okay, so stealth is +6. Perception, passive perception, is just 10 plus dex, so 12. All right. Okay, so I screwed that up. So yeah, it's stealth is +6, not perception. I read that wrong. No languages. All right, up here we have some traits though. We have the ability to spider climb. So spider climb. And then I'm just going to copy what it says in the adventure, like in the adventure guide here. Just copying this text here and putting it in the box. Where'd my mouse go? I see my mouse, but why is it being dumb? Okay. Maybe it was me being dumb. And that's it for traits. It does have some actions that it can do. It can do flaming bite. So we're going to say flaming bite. This is not just an action, but it's an attack action. And it's a melee attack, a range of 5 feet, +6 to hit. On damage, we can just do a flat 6 damage. So every time he gets damage, it's 6. Or you can roll for it, 1d8 +2. The damage type is piercing. Description, we can take this and say the target. Actually, this one's a little interesting. So, excuse me, Mike. Getting over a cold here. The target must make a DC Constitution saving throw, taking 7 or 2d6 fire damage on a failed save. It won't roll that damage because it's not here on the on hit damage type here. So what we're going to do is do a new one, and we're going to say flaming bite, fire damage. This one's going to be a little weird. It is an attack. We're just going to say melee, 5 feet, whatever. It's going to roll a d20 to hit, but in this case, we don't need to do that because it was a failed Constitution saving throw. So we don't need the +2 to hit there. We're just going to add in 1d6 fire. And that's all we have to do there. Another one is the burning web. This is a attack action, ranged attack. Range is 30-60. To hit is +6. Damage on hit, and it's actually +5, but I'm making it harder. So anybody that knows this one, I'm making it a little bit more difficult for my players. On hit is 1d6 fire damage. Description, we're going to copy and paste that. No saving throw. They are automatically restrained, which is kind of cool. And that's it. We have now created a custom monster that we can use in our campaigns. We do have to come through now and add the token because we took that giant spider and moved it over here. If we had updated artwork, it would have updated the token. So we're just going to remove that because this isn't a giant spider. It's a giant infernal spider. So we're going to add the artwork for that for the avatar as well as the token. Edit token properties, advanced, give it vision. It did have night vision, dark vision for 60 feet. So we'll give it that. Oops. Come over here. We're not linking HP here, right? We can do it just to see what the max is and then come back and say none and say 55 out of 55. Because if there's more than one giant infernal spider, we don't want all of those to be linked. But it does represent the giant infernal spider. We don't need to give it a nameplate. We can link the NPC AC. And then hit save changes, close, come to our journal. And now we can drop the giant infernal spider onto the map. By default, it will do a 5 foot, but this is giant and a large creature. So now we have to take that. With that token selected and resized, we come back to the character sheet, use selected token, and hit save changes, close that, and we'll test that by deleting and moving another one over. There you go. And then if we wanted to make this the spider hide, then we can put it in the DM layer with Control-Shift-K, or if you, oops. If on the objects layer, it's on the objects layer, you can right click, change layer, DM layer, and do the same thing. If you're a keyboard shortcut guy or girl like myself, then I use the keyboards, but whatever. And there you have it. That's how we get some characters, and whether they're named NPCs or just generic NPCs or monsters or custom brewed, homebrew monsters, you can do that. You can even come through and organize all this stuff by adding in folders and subfolders. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll add under here, we'll add a subfolder for monsters. We'll add a subfolder for NPCs. And then we can take this giant infernal spider. What is going on with my mouse? And clicking on the image, drag it down to monsters, and then move it over to the right a little bit to get it into that folder. And you can do that and kind of organize everything as you see fit. But I have coughed enough and definitely need a cough drop here. So I will let you guys go. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.